Hello friends, video I am going to show you how to use connect rest with HTTPS URL. That means I am going to consume or fetch the data from one REST service using HTTPS, not HTTP. There was a lot of difference between HTTP and HTTPS. So I have a one RESTful URL. See, this is the RESTful URL. The URL is https colon json placeholder dot typecode.com to do's one. This is one https URL. Now what I am going to do, I am going to hit this URL. I am going to send a request to this URL and fetch the data using connect rest in PEGA PRPC. See, this is HTTPS URL. When you click on this lock symbol, view site information, connection is secure. When you click on this one and see connection is secure, certificate is valid. If you want to see the certificate details also, show the certificate issued by the Cloudflare INC, etc. When you click on this one, you can see the certificate information, everything. So whenever you want to, whenever you want to publish or design or develop any of your service using HTTPS, you must configure your server with SSL certificate, secure socket layer certificate. Here I am not talking about that. I'm just using HTTPS URL in the connect rest. So this is the certificate path. Also we have basically root certificate and intermediate certificate, etc. Leave it. This is the connection is secure. By click on, how do you confirm this connection is secure? Because when you click on this lock symbol, usually see, I am using, this is HTTP localhost. When you click on this one, view site information, your connection to this site is not secure. Your connection to the site is not secure. But see here, this connection is secure. Even not only this one, if you open any URLs, even if you open any URLs, w3schools.com, assuming, see this one, there is a lock symbol. That means internally they are using the HTTPS protocol instead of HTTP. Just click on this one, connection is secure. Okay, certificate is valid. Their certificate, they are using the digisat tls, and these are the certificate details, and this is the certification path. Similarly here also, see the certificate. So this is by Cloudflare INC. The certificate is issued by the Cloudflare INC. Okay, as I told you, I am not talking about SSL certificate, but I want to fetch the data from this URL using connect rest with HTTPS connection. Connect rest with HTTPS connection. So this is the URL currently I am having. So if you want, you can directly use, and remember this point. Remember this point. You can use any URL. You can use this URL, right? You can directly hit this URL from the browser. You will get a response. You can also use any client tools. For example, CMD. One second. Command prompt, CMD command prompt. From the command prompt also you can hit this URL and you will get a response. Okay, because I am not sure how to hit this URL, because there is some DOS commands. Using those commands also you can hit this URL. Just quickly show you. DOS command to hit URL, command to open a URL, how to hit a URL from a command prompt. Okay, so okay, how to open internet through CMD. Try to understand, because the concept is very important. xdg-open. Okay, xdg is not okay somehow. Okay, so you can hit this url, you can hit this url from the command prompt as well. Okay, now here in this case command prompt will act as a client. If you want, you can create a one bash program. If you want, you can create a one javascript program, python program, ruby program, java program, asp.net program, salesforce code, whatever the code. If you want, you can create a code and you can hit this url. So obviously all of your code will be acts as a client, and this is the server, this url where this application was hosted, that is nothing but a server. Similarly in our case also, because depends upon the functionality, depends upon the requirement, clients or people will use different tools to hit this URL. So it depends on the requirements. Now, even if you want, you can open a command prompt and you can hit this URL and you will get the same response. Similarly, if you want, you can create a simple program and you can use that program and you can send a request. Ultimately, here what we are doing, sending a request to this URL. Here, your browser is also doing same thing. Your browser is also doing same thing. When you hit this, your browser will act as a client. When you hit this url, internally one your browser code will be executed and sending a request to the particular server and generating the response. That's it. Now coming back to the pega, in pega also I want to send a request from pega. I want to send a request to this url, to this url. How can you achieve that? Again, there are a lot of concepts behind that. Sir, I can directly hit this URL from the browser. Similarly, in Pega also, I can directly hit this URL, different client options or connect options. So now here, what I am going to use, connect rest. Connect rest is one of the rule in Pega, which is used to send a request to the HTTP URLs or HTTPS URLs under the RESTful protocol. Under the RESTful protocol. Remember this. Connect REST is one of the rule in Pega which is used to send a request to any of these URLs or any of the HTTP or HTTPS URLs and generating the response and process the response. That's it. Because you need to write a program. Usually here the browser, from the browser you can hit, you got a response. But how can you achieve this for using the pega? How can you achieve this using the java? How can you achieve this using the python program? So just for your understanding also, I'm showing how to get a data from url in, okay, python. Simple. How to get a data from a url in python, because python having the libraries. See this one, see this one. Simple code, simple code. This is the, they are using one url library and this is the link. From this link they are getting the data, open and read the data and they are printing the data. That's it. Finally they got the response. See how to get the data from url in php. Okay, so PHP has some code. PHP has some code, and how to get a data in Java. See, get a data from a URL. You need to write this code in Java. You need to write this code in Java. For example, now see this. When I run this code, Java tutorial, etc. Okay, and the request, Java will send a request to this program will send a request to this URL and get the data. Now I want to achieve same thing in pega also, because okay, I'll tell you within a 1 minute. Okay, you can use connect rest, but for concept understanding purpose I'm just explaining all these ways. Now similarly, how can you achieve this in, how can you achieve this in pega? In pega also we have a different types of connectors. Why? Because why they are using the connect means you are connecting to that particular service or particular server or a particular resource, or a resource you are connecting to. That means you are, you have to send a request to particular service or a particular server or a particular resource, etc. So that's why we used to call it as a clients, we used to call it as a connectors, and etc, etc. Now here, integration connectors, we have these many connectors. We have a connect SQL, we have a connect soap, we have a connect SAP, REST, MQ, JMS, etc. See, depends upon the, we can ask a cool drink from the milk booth, right? Can we ask a cool drink from a milk booth? Because from the, usually just a generic example, even some milk booth will sell the cool drinks also, don't mind. But okay, usually they can understand. Okay, he is asking a milk. Okay, let us suppose if I go to post office and post this cover, or else, but I cannot go to the, if I go to the bank, I can ask him, okay, please post this cover, right? Because each and everything they have their own understandings, because post office having their own terminology, bank having their own terminology. Similarly, here Java, here JMS, here SAP, here this is a file. All these are different purposes. That means you are connecting to soap service and getting the data. For this you have to use the connect soap, you have to use the connect soap. Similarly, if you want to fetch the JMS service response, Java messaging service response, you cannot use the connect soap. It is not possible. It cannot understand. It cannot understand because this is basically a client and server mechanism. The client and server should be understand with each other. Client can understand by the server, server can understandable by the client. So mutual understanding need to be established between these client and server. That is the very important thing here. Okay, soap cannot understand the rest cannot understand the soap cannot understand the Java JMS, and JMS cannot understand the rest, etc. So like this. Okay, we have a one service, the service is expecting your request in this format. You have to send the same request, you have to send this your request also into the same format which is understandable by the service. Now in this case, by looking into this, okay, this is a one restful URL, this is a one restful service. So to consume or to get or to send a request to this service, I have to follow some restful guidelines. I have to follow some restful guidelines. If you can follow the SOAP guidelines also, you won't get any response, because first of all, that is not understandable by the service. That's it. No, no, no. I can follow the SOAP. Okay, you can follow. No problem. You won't get anything. That's it. You will get an error. You will get an error. So here, this is a one restful service. Now I am going to use my already Pega having some features to consume or to get the data from a restful service. How do you do this? Okay, you can use connector rest, which is used to connecting to the one restful service and get the data. So how do you achieve this one? If you want, you can create a connect rest rule. That's it. You can create a connect rest rule. In that connect rest rule, and you have to pass the request details, and you will get a response, then process the response, etc. It is very difficult for me, I don't know. See, very simple. Trying to understand, don't depends upon this connect rest always. Why? Because try to understand the problem first. Okay, I have a one service, because how the program was implemented in PHP, in Java, in Python, just now we have seen how they have written the code. Similarly, in Pega also we have to write a code, and we have to write a code and send a request to the service and get the data and process the data. But internally the same thing is happening in Pega also. Internally the same thing is happening in Pega also. But but to make it more easy, because if I don't know how to write this code, I don't know all these things. So PEGA intention is to simplify all these things, right? Even are you writing anywhere in the code? Are you writing anywhere the code? No, right? Because PEGA motto is different. Now here also PEGA created or PEGA tool come up with some beautiful graphical user interface options, graphical user interface options. So by using that options also you can simply configure, or you can simply send a request to the service and get the data, that's it. But internally what PEGA is doing, PEGA is also internally writing a Java code to send a request and get the data. That is not our problem, that is a PEGA problem. First of all, we have to understand the connect rest only, because even the connect rest internally generating the code itself, we no need to worry, we no need to bother about that part. But just I want to understand, just you want to understand the what's happening internally also. Okay, now what I am doing, you have to create a connect rest rule. Okay, creation of the connect rest is not only sufficient. Why? Because you have to pass some input details and you have to get the output details, then you have to process that output details. I think it is bit difficult for me. Is there any way? Is there any option to simplify all these things? Yes, even PEGA is also providing those options. That is nothing but go to the configure, integration, connectors, create rest integration. See, whatever the rules, because ultimately everything in PEGA is a rule, whatever the rules which are required to send a request to this URL and get the data and process the data, you don't know how to create all these rules. Even in that case also PEGA is helping you to create the complete artifacts, or to create a complete structure by using the create rest integration. No, I don't want to use this rest integration. I am aware of all these things. I can create my own connect rest rule and I can send the data, I can hit that URL and I can process the data. If you are okay, if you know all these things, well and good, you can go and do it. But I am very beginner, I don't know how to create a rules, how to create a rules to hit this URL from the PEGA. I don't know, is there any option, is there any help? Yes, PEGA is providing integration connectors, create rest integration, that's it. Now I am using this wizard, I am using this feature, or I am using this option in PEGA to generate the required rules to invoke or to send or to hit this service and get the data. Okay, what is the URL name? Sorry. So just it is asking what is the system details. Okay, what is the name, what is your uh, give me some name, etc. For example, get test json data, or your wish, or get rested service sample rest sample rest service data, get sample rest service data, that's it. What is the endpoint URL? Ultimately this is the endpoint URL. This is very very important, remember this. I am using HTTPS, not HTTP. Okay, now PEGA will automatically identify these resource path. This is the protocol, remember this, this is the protocol, and this is the domain, or domain name, or IP address. Okay, and these are nothing but a resource path, these are nothing but a resource path. Finally this is the URL, which is nothing but a unique resource locator. Now okay, I don't have any query string parameters, I don't have any headers, etc. as of now I don't have any headers. I don't have any query string parameters because this URL doesn't have any query string parameters. This URL doesn't have any query string parameters, which is nothing but a resource path. A resource path, because the URL is a RESTful format. The URL is in a RESTful format. I'll talk about the REST separately. Okay, here in this video I just want to show you the connect REST with HTTPS. Query string parameters, add parameters, nothing, not required, because there is no query string parameters here. There is no authentication, because to invoke this URL, is there any authentication is required? Because the service is asking any credentials? No, that's why I'm not configuring any authentication. Okay, if you want to pass any headers additionally, if you want to pass any headers, which is nothing but HTTP headers additionally, you can add headers, but at this moment not required. Okay, see, if you want to make it as a parameters, you can make it as a parameters, because I don't have anything. I no need to pass any parameters also. I no need to pass any parameters. This is just my URL. Just click on next. Hmm. Here I'm not passing any RESTful parameters. So what is the method? So by default, see, a RESTful service, a RESTful protocol having 5 methods: get, post, put, patch, and delete. Get is for fetching the data. Post is for pushing the data. Put is for updating the data. Patch is updating the specific parameters. Specific parameters. Delete is deleting the record. Delete is deleting the record. So okay. Now what is the resource? What is the resource? Get sample rest data. Get sample rest data. This resource name is different and previous system name is different. Okay, click on next. Now it is asking define the data model by adding the rest response or adding the file. If you want, you can add a rest response also, because you have to give all these things to the service. You have to give all these things to the service, or add a rest response. When you click on add, see this one, define the data model by adding a REST response or adding the file. The system will parse the sample request and responses to determine the data model, because internally the data model should be required. Why? Because if you want to send any input parameters, or if you want to process any output response, properties are required, right? Parameters are required, right? Because if you want to send any input details to the service, or if you want to process any output response, because PEGA has to understand, PEGA has to understand what type of response that is generated by the service, because all these things are prerequisites, because all the required rules are automatically created by the PEGA upfront. Why? Because you can directly reuse that. If PEGA did not understand the response, right? If PEGA don't know the response also, then how the PEGA can process the response here? That's why, if you know the response, if you know the service response, so please just share the, please give the how the response would be, so that accordingly I will create the required data model for you. I will create the required data model for you. Otherwise you have to create it later. Okay, now what I am doing, add REST response. Just click on run. Okay, now I got this response. Click on submit. So based on this response, PEGA internally create a data model. That means internally creating the properties. That's it. Now the response is there. Now just click on next. Now see this one. It is asking, ultimately without a class there is no rule in PEGA. Everyone knows. What is the integration class? So get sample rest service data. This is your integration class. Okay, the id is sbi int get sample. Now I am changing the class name also. This is just a label bus, remember this. uh, get sample rest, guest sample or get rest service data. Get rest service data. This is, I want this class name because pega is automatically generating like this, but I want this class name. This is my class get sbi, because parent class organization level integration, because this is the organization class and each and every organization class is having again integration layer. In the integration layer you are generating this. If you want you can keep it in your application or application integration layer also, or division integration layer also, unit integration layer also, your wish, your wish. So no need to maintain in the organization layer only, no need to maintain in the organized int layer, your wish. What is this one? See, get sample rest data. Get sample rest data, this is nothing but a connector. If you want to change it name also you can change it, no problem. Okay, now what is the rule set version? In which rule set version? See, map to an application data type. What is the data type? That means internally pega is creating the one data type also. We will see all these. Get the sample rest data class. This is a data class. Above one is integration class. Get sample rest data, because internally pega is creating the one data type. Okay, this is the data page name. This is the data page name internally pega is doing. Okay, context rule set version. See this one. Application name is SBI application. Rule set name is Pega internally creating a one new rule set. Pega is internally creating a one new rule set. No, I don't want to create a new rule set. I don't want to create a new rule set. I want to use existing rule set. Your wish. So that's why I am editing this as well. I don't want to create a new rule set version or new rule set. So no branch. Okay, add a rule set new. So it's, see this one, add a rule set new. No, I want to use existing rule set. Which rule set version you want to use? Either you can use, there are a lot of rule set versions, right? So I am using SBI Apple. Okay, 010101. I am using the same rule set version. New version or existing version? Okay, time being I am asking to create a new version. SBI Apple new version. Submit. Now here also, to generate this data layer also, to generate this data layer also, because the previous versions only you can select directly one rule set or rule set version. So here if you want you can create a separate rule set for the integration layer, and if you want you can create, you can choose a separate rule set for the data layer. Now time being I am using existing SBI Apple new version. That's it. Click on submit. Okay, now if you want you can see the just preview records. What are the list of rules internally creating by the pega to hit this service? Because not only one rule won't be sufficient, because there are lot of supporting rules also required. Lot of supporting rules also required. Okay, just click on those preview records. Okay, see how many rules, how many classes pega is creating? 6 classes. How many properties pega creating? 11 properties. How many connect rest rules are creating? 1. So what I told you 5 minutes back, if you want you can create your own connect rest rule also. That may not be sufficient. Why? Because additionally few more supporting rules are required, because some people doesn't know how to create all these rules. People doesn't know how to create all these rules. To simplify that development process, to simplify that, pega is providing some wizard concept to create all these rules, so you can use that feature. and PEGA is creating a one data page, and PEGA is creating a one data transform, sorry, two data transforms. Why all these things are required means, okay, some of these rules are required, some of these rules are not required. For a complementary, PEGA was created all these rules. You can reuse it or you can use it, otherwise you can just simply ignore it. I am saying all these rules are not required. All these rules are not required. Some of the rules, if you want, you can use it or you can ignore it. But the wizard is creating all these records. Or else, I don't want to go with wizard. You can create your own class. You can create your own properties. You can create your own request and response. And you can create your own connect rest rule. That's it. That is also fine. No, 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 I don't know which class I need to take it, which connector, how to create a connector tool, all those things I don't know means, then you can use this beautiful feature. Now, okay, fine. Click on create. That's it. Identifier, class identifier can be more than 25. Okay, where class identifier, integration layer, get sample service test data, class can be no more than 25 characters. 3, 4, 7, 8, 11, 15, 18, 20, 25. Okay, what's happened? Okay, let's me get our service data. Get our service data. That's it. This is my class name. Get here also I am changing because the class name should not be more than 25 characters. Get sample R data. Get sample R data. That's it. Now click on create. Unable to create a rule set version 01. It is currently captured using the application stack. Okay, there is one more problem. So now what I am doing, new version, instead of new version I can use 010101. Here also somehow some reason it is not creating. Now at least this time let's see. And anytime if you want you can cancel this generation also, no problem. Okay, now if you want you can undo the generation also. Now close, that's it. Now just to see what are the list of rules created by this wizard. SBI first, I only knows SBI INT class. SBI INT. Now here SBI INT, what is our class name? See this one, get our service data. This is our class name, get our service data. So that means the first class is created by the wizard is get our service data. Open this class. I'm not explaining each and everything here. Is it belongs to class group or it does not belongs to class group, etc. Okay, this is the first class because totally 6 classes are created, right? Now next one is get sample rest data. Inside this class, inside this class, again see how many classes? 1, 2, 3, 4. This is get our service data. Get our, okay, this is my class. or there is a one more class. There is a one more class SBI int get sample. Okay, get our service data. Now, what are all these things? Sample REST data API. This is API query get, API request, etc. All these classes are internally created by the PEGA. See this one, get sample REST data. Get sample REST data. This is the parent class. That means this is the main class. This is the main class. Get our service data. Under this main class, there is a class name. Call it as a get sample REST data. Get sample REST data. Here, what are the properties? See this one properties. So these are the properties. These are the properties. And before that, just let's explore. There is a one more, call it as a get sample REST data API class. REST data API class. Here in this data model property, see this one is a request class, another one is a response class. What is the request class? This is the request class. What is the response class? There is a response class, this one. This is the API class. This API class contains a one request property. This is again because internally all these created by the PEGA, etc. Okay, SBI int get service data. This get sample request data API query get, this one. This is the request. This is the property. See, this is the property. This is nothing but a page property. API request class, and this is the response. Even when you expand this one also, again it contains a one property, data model property, which is nothing but a query get. When you open this, this is also a page property. Again you will get. So like this, ultimately PEGA created these many classes. This is the main class SBI int get REST service data. This is the main class, and all these are internally request class and response classes and its corresponding properties. Its corresponding properties. Even if you want, you can go to the records, data model, properties. How many properties created by the PEGA? Just now we discussed almost 11 properties, right? See this one, 20728, almost 11 properties. One is completed id title. See, this is the response. User id title, completed, four properties. Completed id title user id. Now in this class also, get sample completed id title user id request response underscore get query underscore get, etc. All these classes, all these properties created by the PEGA. Apart from that, what is our main rule? Connectors, integration connectors. What is that? Connect rest. Open that connect rest, refresh, get sample rest data. Okay, now this is also created by the PEGA. Get sample rest properties are created, connect rest rule is created, and classes are created, and data classes are also created. If you want, you can see, go to the app. SBI data. See this one, get sample data. Data classes are also created by the PEGA wizard. So it created a one data transform. So this is the one data transform. It created a one data page, etc. Data page, etc. Now all the required rules are ready. All the required rules are created by the wizard, created by the PEGA. You can directly use it. That's it. If you want, you can directly test it also. Now let me open this connect rest rule. What is this? Is my connect rest rule, right? Okay, this is the connect rest rule. If you want to, you can use this connect rest rule from your data page or from your activity or from your integration shape from the flows, etc. etc. Now, why why I am explaining all these things is the main point here is I want to show for HTTPS. Main thing I want to show is how to send a request from the connect rest using to HTTPS URL. So what is the difference? Normally, no difference, right? HTTP and HTTPS, we are following the same process. We are following the same process, right? Why? What is the main difference here? Now let us suppose this is the get sample rest data. Now I have to create an activity. From that activity I have to use the connect rest step method. From that connect rest step method I can use this rule. Then only I can get the response. When I run that activity I will get the response. Okay, everyone knows this one. But now what I am doing is I have a one data page already. This data page is also, as I told you, right, complimentary. This data page is also created by the PEGA. You can directly reuse it. You can directly reuse it if you want. Or else, if you want, you can create your own data page and you can test this. You can send a request to this connect rest. Or you can create your own activity and you can use the connect rest from there. But see this one, d underscore get sample rest data. The data source for this is connector and rest. What is this? Get the sample rest data. This is the class name is get sample rest data. See this one, get sample rest data. Under this rest data API. Under the class name is rest data API. Now what I am doing is click on run data page. I am just running the data page. Now this is the response I got it from that service. Completed false, ID 1, title so and so, user ID 1. Even the same thing you can achieve from the browser also. The same thing you can achieve from the browser also. But that is not the case, right? I want to show this in my application. How can you achieve this using PEGA? Like this. But here, what I can do is I just want to make a simple change. I am opening my PEGA folder. Mm, okay, data E. Here, this is my PEGA 8.6 PRPC personal edition, and here JRE lib security. What I am doing is security. I am removing this file. I am removing this CA file. Control X. Temporarily, I am keeping in my desktop. Okay. Now, what I am doing is after this, just restart the server. After this, just restart the server. See, now you can try to execute the data page again after removing that CA certificate file. Again, run the data page after removing that file. It will work definitely. But what you have to do is remove that CA file and keep it in somewhere not from that folder. Stop the server and restart the server again and run the same data page again. Run the same data page again. You will get an SSL error. You will get an SSL error. What is that SSL error? Just open the connect rest rule. Just open the connect rest rule. This is our connect rest rule, right? So ultimately this is HTTPS URL, right? Now you are hitting this HTTPS URL from the browser. So what is happening when you hit the HTTPS URL from the browser? Browser will send a request to the server. So what server will do? Immediately server will send a certificate. Server will send a certificate and a public key. Server will send a certificate and a public key to the client. Okay, what then client will do? Client will verify that certificate first. Client will verify the certificate first, because then if the certificate is valid, then client will establish a connection to the server, then the communication will be started. This is nothing but a SSL handshaking. This is nothing but a SSL handshaking. So first time when I hit from a browser to the server, server first will respond with certificate. Now the browser will verify whether the certificate is valid or not. So how the browser can verify the certificate is valid or not means, by default browser is maintaining the, by default browser contains or browser loaded with the certificates, trusted certificates. By default browser loaded with trusted certificates. So if the server shared certificate is already present in the browser certificates, then browser will assume that yes, this is a valid certificate and it's a valid secure connectivity. It's a valid secure connectivity. It's not like a false secure connectivity. It's a valid secure connectivity. Now if you want, you can go to the, go to settings. Here, privacy and security. So here, see this one, under the privacy and security. So under the security, manage certificates. When you click on manage certificates, by default browser loaded all the certificates. Trusted root certificate. See this one, trusted root certificate. Trusted root certificates. Okay, so if the server responded, first time server will respond with a certificate. If the certificate is already present in the browser trusted root certificate, then browser will confirm that yes, a certificate is valid. That means connection is a secure connection, it is a valid secure connection. Then the browser will be responded, communication will be started. Otherwise browser will not establish a communication to the server. Browser will not establish a communication to the server. That means connection will be failed. It's not a valid connection. So here when you send a request to the server, server responded with certificate and a public key. Okay, now the browser can verify that responded certificate whether it is a valid certificate or not from its from browser trust store. From the browser trust store, remember this, from the browser trust store. Trust store means, see this one, manage certificate, trusted root certificate authorities. There is an option trusted publishers, untrusted publishers, etc. But see this one, trusted root certificates. Similarly, trusted, that is nothing but a trust store. Trust store, it contains trust store contains a list of public certificates. List of public certificates are certificate authorities provided by the certificates. I mean, VeriSign, DigiCert, VeriSign and DigiCert most popular. Okay, so these certificate companies provided by the certificates, we call it as a certificate authorities. These certificate authorities provided by the certificates, okay, browser or your trust store contains all these public certificates should be present. Even in our case also, coming to the PEGA, here we are using the connect rest rule with HTTPS URL, but here we are not configuring, we are not doing anything related to the SSL certificates, right? Yes, you are just sending a request to the service. Service is responded with a certificate and with public key. First, your PEGA program internally, your Java program, or internally, because this is only look and feel UI, but internally program is executing. Internally the code can also verify that the responded certificate is a valid certificate or not. How the responded certificate is valid or not, how that code or this connect rest rule can verify. So see this one, it can verify from the trust store. See this one, it can verify from its trust store. See sir, we did not configure any trust store here. Then how connect rest rule can verify whether the responded certificate is valid or not? See, if you want, you can configure your own trust store. No problem. If you did not configure any trust store here, by default, we have a trust store path, which is nothing but by default trust store path is this one. Your PEGA PRPC personal edition where JRE folder, Java runtime environment folder, it contains a lib contains a security. The security contains a certificate folders, certificate files, which is nothing but a JKS files. See this one. Where is this CA certificates? We already removed. Yes. Control C. CA certificate files. This CA certificate files, if you want, you can explore the CA certs files. If you want, you can explore the CA certs files. This, when you explore this CA certs file, or you can open the CA certs file, it contains a trusted list of trusted certificates provided by the different certificate authorities. That means here PEGA also can verify that whether the server responded with certificate, that certificate is valid or not. It can verify from this path. If you want, you can mention your own trust store. If you did not mention the trust store, if you did not mention any trust store, by default it will take this a trust store path, JRE lib security CSAT file. So I'll show you explore how to explore CA sets, how to view the CA sets. There is a command for that also. If you want, you can use that command to open that file. How to view the CA sets online. Is there any command file? There is a I'll show you. There is a command, key tool command. Mm, Remember this, there is a command to open that file and you can see the listed certificates. So obviously your connect rest rule can also verify whether that CA certificate file contains the responded certificate, this DigiCert certificate or not. If it is there, okay. Otherwise it throws an error. So if so in that way, your connect rest rule can verify with HTTPS URL, because this is nothing but a one-way SSL. This is called it as a one-way SSL, because here the server cannot verify anything. only your client or nothing but your browser or nothing but your client program can verify whether the server is valid or not. Your server is valid or not. Okay, how they can verify? Because they have already preloaded all the root certificates provided by the different certificate authorities. Okay, so if any one of the certificate, if the responded certificate is present in that list, okay, then the connection is valid. Otherwise, its connection is invalid. It cannot go further. It cannot go further. So this is the purpose of trust store. This is my intention in this video. I want to explain about this trust store, especially why, because you are sending a request to HTTPS URL. For a trial and error also, if you want, you can remove this CA file from this path and you can restart the server, then run the data page again. Definitely you will get an error. Definitely you will get an error. So always remember this, always a trust store contains a public list of public certificates, public keys and certificates, which is provided by the server. Server is having the private key and your client should have the public key. So what server can do? Server will encrypt and sign the data. Okay, once it reaches to the client can understand, right? Because that signed data can be decrypted by using that key, because already this client is having the public key. So by using that key, that client can decrypt the data. So because otherwise everyone can see the data in the network, right? Then there is no point of implementing the SSL. TLS, transportation layer secure. TLS means a transportation layer secure, or some people call it as SSL also. Nowadays everyone is talking about TLS, transport layer security. Okay, so then there is no point of maintaining the SSL, because there is a server is having the private key and client should have the public key. Server can encrypt the data and client is decrypt the data. If the client is sending the data, client can encrypt the data by using that public key. The server can decrypt the data by using this private key. So like this, SSL handshaking has been establishing. Okay, so this is the purpose of trust store. Trust store contains a certificates to validate the others. Trust store contains the certificates to validate others, he is a valid or not. Okay, but again key store is different. So here I'm not talking about key store. Key store is contains a private keys as well as public keys, public certificates. Okay, I will make a different video when I am implementing the service rest. When I am implementing the service rest, I will use the key store. But here in this, trust store is only for validating the other certificate, validating the others certificate, whether it is a valid certificate or not. The final statement is it contains a simple public certificates. It contains a public certificates which are provided by the servers, or services. That's it. So I hope you understand my video. Thank you.